If I had seen this movie last year, it would have been in my bottom 2.
Wow. Hello everyone and welcome to the Cannes Canon. We are in Cannes. This is our beautiful Airbnb, not in Cannes, but either way, it
Close
works.
by.
Cannes is ridiculously expensive is the short story. The last episode you saw, we were in Montreal in late April in around 10-degree temperatures, and it is not far from 30 degrees here in May in
And that's
South
Celsius
France.
for you Americans out there.
Sure.
It's hot. I am so happy to be here. I got to experience a little bit of the festival. Just to walk you through what my day looked like yesterday. So before the opening film, for the past 4 years or so, they've been doing a classic film to open the festival with. Last year it was Napoleon. The year before that it was The Mother and the Whore. This year it was Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush, which was wonderful. It's not one of my favorite Chaplin movies, but it was the first Criterion Collection DVD that I ever owned. So I've got a soft spot for this movie. Okay. But the thing that was really special about this screening, Charlie Chaplin's grandkids were there.
Wow.
And so, although this remains not one of my absolute favorite Charlie Chaplin movies, it was wonderful to see at the festival.
How was the restoration too? Because it's a new restoration.
Restoration was great. There was a few moments where you could tell that some footage simply did not exist.
Okay.
Because it would sort of, there was some weird jump cuts and everything in there. But the restoration was you can tell that a lot of love, a lot of effort has gone into this. But truly, what a better way to start a festival than, like, is there any better way than to see a Chaplin movie with his grandkids?
The thing about Cannes is that you can be damn sure that whatever people can come to the festival are gonna come to the festival. Quentin Tarantino, who came to the festival yesterday, not with a film, but just to be on stage at the opening ceremony for 1 minute and just declare that the festival was open.
Specifically, he said the Festival of Cannes. The opening ceremony was a lot of fun, and I'd love to hear your experience a little bit of this, because the amazing thing about the Cannes opening ceremony is that it happens simultaneously in theaters nationwide. So while I was watching in the Salle Debussy, or Debussy, and seeing it all unfolding just in the theater next door, because I didn't get to see the actual opening. I was watching it all on a screen. You were seeing the exact same thing in a theater in Paris.
Yes, so the way it works in France is that the opening film opens in France on the same day and at the same time as the film premieres in Cannes. So it's kind of a way, again, like we mentioned in the last episode, to democratize the Cannes Film Festival, but also so that everybody feels like they are part of the festival in some way. So that is what I was a part of in Paris, just before heading to Cannes this morning. All I had to do was walk to the theater, and the live stream was playing for about an hour, and you see everything from the homage to David Lynch to Mylène Farmer singing a song.
I like that song.
The song is great. And then only afterwards was the film, the opening film, played in the theater.
And so in my theater, it was basically the exact same thing, because again, I didn't get into the Grand Théâtre Lumière, which is where they actually had the opening ceremony. I was watching the exact same thing you were in the press screening. I'd love to get your thoughts. What did you think of the Robert De Niro tribute? Because I thought it was beautiful.
Frankly, I think that if all the tributes or all the kind of montages that we saw at the opening ceremony were of this quality for the Oscars, I think nobody would be complaining. They were really, really well done. The David Lynch ones especially. Like, David Lynch had a tribute a little bit in the in memoriam of the Oscars, but it felt like the tribute was mostly centered on Gene Hackman, which, great actor who we should remember, but Cannes is about the directors.
Yeah.
And David Lynch is a major, major, major loss. They did an excellent job at making us understand the weight of that. And every other montage, whether it's Robert De Niro or Juliette Binoche, I thought were fantastic.
They were really well edited. And I also really enjoyed the opening monologue. I don't remember the name of the actor.
Laurent Lafitte, which you might have seen in The Count of Monte Cristo.
Ah, okay, that's why he looked familiar.
Yeah.
He had some really great bits, so like how he, as an actor, knows more about cinema than most directors, because he's starred in 67 movies, whereas Stanley Kubrick only ever made 13. I enjoyed the opening ceremony as a whole. Now, with that said, I feel like I've done it once. In future years, I don't think if the opening movie is not interesting me, I don't think I need to do it. And this opening movie did not interest me, and I feel like my time would have been better used not being there.
both of us did not like the short.
No, neither of us liked the short film, which we talked about in yesterday's video.
Yes.
Today we can talk about the feature film.
Yes.
And for me, I feel exactly the same way that I felt about the short film transposed to the feature. I felt like the music was incredibly grating. It was a jukebox musical taking all of these very famous French pop songs, and yet all of the songs suck because no one can sing, and it's clear that what they're doing here is a very classic stripping down of the musical. They want to make it so that it's like reality, you know, instead of it being this glamorous production of a musical song and dance number. Instead, it's just regular people singing a song, and they're gonna sound like regular people. Even though they hired musicians and famous singers to play these roles, it's like they told them, we need you to pretend you can't sing.
The only professional singer is Juliette Armanet within the whole cast.
And she sounded just as bad as anyone else.
You can tell that she has a trained voice when she sings.
I
Maybe she's
suppose,
not hitting
but
her notes, but...
in the same way that you could tell Lady Gaga has a trained voice in Joker Folie à Deux.
Okay.
Right? Where it's like she's trying to play normal, trying to play not an exceptional singer. And I think exactly like I said when we talked about the short, this idea has been approached before by Jacques Demy.
What we were saying in the last episode is it really resonated with me this time, especially right when I saw like the truck stop and the garage. I was like immediately thinking of Umbrellas of Cherbourg. This clearly is doing something within that light. What it tries, which is to say like, oftentimes it's mini bits of music. You know, it's not a full song. It's like I'm gonna do a little like dance in the kitchen for 30 seconds. There's really just one major musical sequence in the film on the ice skating rink. It's not just a jukebox musical, it's kind of like a TikTok karaoke musical.
And it's clearly evoking karaoke even from the opening credits.
Yes.
Where it has the sort of karaoke bar going along the credits.
I think the reason why I say hit or miss and not like a complete failure is because I think there are moments where it works, where it's charming to see people, like there's a song that suddenly pops into their head and they need to kind of blurt it out. There are moments where that works. And again, I was mentioning Dalida, and the moment where Dominique Blanc is singing that with Juliette Armanet kind of impersonating the male character of the song, there's a bit of a charm to that. But again, it doesn't work every time. And it's a very kind of obvious, predictable story.
Well, yeah, I mean, the story there's nothing new to it. We've seen this exact story a million times before.
And as soon as you know that she's looking for the dish at the beginning of the film, you know exactly where that's going.
Well, and then there's stuff like, oh, and she's pregnant, but she doesn't want to keep it. Like, there's all of these things that we've seen over and over and over in so many different films. And to me, I don't know. I mean, you're saying that for you the music worked at times, like it felt like they had to get something out into the world, that, you know, a song was stuck in their head and they just had to sing it. And I'm glad that it worked for you. Maybe for me, it didn't work as well because...
It works sometimes. And here's what I'll say about that. There was a lot of moments in the film where I was like sighing, like eye rolling or whatever.
I was groaning for a lot of it.
There's definitely some moments where I was like, this should be better, this doesn't work. But for me, it stuck the landing a little bit.
I do like that final scene. I think that's the best song to end on. It's a really catchy song. I'm not familiar with most of these tracks. Like, really, I think the only song that I knew in the entire movie was Alors on Danse.
You knew the Celine Dion.
I don't know, man. Like, here's the thing.
You're Canadian.
I know, but Celine Dion that the Quebecois know and that French people know is very different.
This is a francophone Celine Dion.
I know My Heart Will Go On. You know, I know English Celine Dion. I don't know French Celine Dion. And so...
Pour que tu m'aimes encore.
No, I don't know the song. And so to me, a lot of the music, it could have been brand new. And it wasn't the greatest first impression of a lot of these songs because they're not performed well. But yeah, for me, this was a massive... I can't even say it's a disappointment because I had no expectations for it going in. But I am not coming away from it feeling like I ever want to force myself to go to an opening movie again if it's not something I'm interested in.
Well, think about this. Gold Rush aside, the festival can only get better from here.
Hey, that's the thing. If I had seen this movie last year, it would have been in my bottom 2.
Wow. We've talked about the opening film. At the time of recording, none of the competition films have played. So just before films actually start playing, very quickly, what's going to win the Palme d'Or?
I'm still vibing with the Panahi. I think It Was Just an Accident has a really good chance. And I feel like we might see a bit of a political jury this year, or a jury that wants to go out for something that very purposefully won't fit into the idea of what mainstream cinema is. And I think that the two best options, maybe even three best options we have for that are Panahi, Bigan, and Masha Shilinsky. I'm just worried about Masha Shilinsky being that first slot.
I've changed my thoughts.
Interesting.
I think last time I said Masha Shilinsky, I think the film still is a very good contender for a prize, period. But I'm gonna take a risk here, and I think that the Palme d'Or is gonna go to The Secret Agents. I just know that it's like a giant genre meld. I know that there's gonna be a great ensemble led by Wagner Moura. It looks really colorful, it looks really polished, really thoughtful. Kleiber Mendonça Filho is kind of on an upwards trajectory here, and maybe this is the one.
It's fair, and there's no right answer until next Saturday. The Palm is red.
But hopefully we'll give you some clues in terms of the directors Sergei Lotnitsa and Masha Shilinsky, which you will see and learn about with us in the next episode of the Cannes Canon. So see you then.